All right, let's talk about something that's happening just under the surface of the pickleball world. We all see the sport absolutely blowing up, right? But with all that growth, there's this other thing growing right alongside it, a shadow industry. We're talking about the pickleball black market. So picture this. You're scrolling online and you see it. That top of the line professional paddle, the one you see the pros using, it usually costs 300 bucks. But this listing? 30. Not a typo. $30. That's the kind of deal that makes you stop and think, no way. And that's the big question we're going to dig into. Is this the ultimate life hack for getting elite gear on the cheap, or are you just about to get totally scammed? Are you buying a game changer, or just a piece of junk that's going to fall apart in a week? Let's find out. Okay, so to really get why this black market even exists, you got to understand the other side of the coin, the official stuff, the high-end gear that everybody wants a piece of. I mean, just look at these prices. Your top players, guys like Ben Johns and Jack Sock, they're all using paddles that are going to set you back around 300 bucks, sometimes more. And look, that's not just some random number they slap on it. There's some serious tech and R&D behind that price tag. A big reason for that cost is this thing called thermoforming. It's a fancy way of saying they basically heat mold the entire paddle into one solid piece, and they often inject foam around the edges. So what does that get you? Well, you get way more power and a much bigger, more forgiving sweet spot. It's a total game changer. But yeah, it's expensive to do. And that high price, that's what opens the door. Right. So you've got the expensive, legit stuff. And that creates the demand for the shadow market. This is where things get really tempting and really tricky. So where are these deals popping up? Pretty much everywhere you'd normally look. We're talking eBay, Alibaba, AliExpress, Temu, heck, even Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. People are saying these places are just swarming with fakes. And this is a perfect example of how it goes down. Check out this story from a user on Reddit. They paid 170 bucks for a Jula Perseus. Now, that's not even crazy cheap, right? It sounds like a decent discount. But when they got it and really looked at it, yup, total fake. Okay, so you don't want that to happen to you. The question is, how do you spot them? How do you know if you're holding a real paddle or just a really good copy? Let's become detectives for a minute and break it all down. All right, here's one of the coolest and most reliable ways to check. The NFC chip in the handle. With a real paddle, when you tap it with your phone, it takes you to a special page to register your paddle specifically. It's unique to that one paddle. But here's where the counterfeiters get sneaky. The fakes have NFC chips too, and they're getting smarter. As this Reddit user points out, you'll tap the fake paddle and it'll take you to the Jola website, making you think it's legit. But it's just a generic sales page, not that unique registration page. It's a super subtle trick, but it's often the dead giveaway. Okay, so what if you don't have your phone? Let's talk visual red flags. First, that holographic sticker on the side. A real one will shimmer, give you that rainbow prism effect in the light. The fake? It's just a flat, dull gray sticker. Next, check the font. The text on a real paddle is super sharp and clean. On the fake, it's often a little fuzzy, kind of blurry. And finally, the colors. They're often just off. A fake Jula might have a red that's a bit too dark. It just doesn't look quite right. All right, the visual stuff is one thing, but here's the million-dollar question. How do they actually play? I mean, if it looks the same and plays the same, who cares, right? Well, does it? Someone came up with the perfect analogy for this, and it's brilliant. It's like buying $10 wine. Every once in a while, you might find a bottle that's surprisingly good, but you go back and buy that same label next week, and it's awful. It's a complete roll of the dice. There's just zero consistency, no quality control whatsoever. So to really put this to the test, a writer at the Dink actually did an experiment. They bought a real $230 CRBN paddle and a $25 knockoff from Alibaba, and the difference was staggering. The real paddle had that awesome carbon fiber feel with pop and control. The fake? It felt like hitting the ball with a piece of cardboard. The edge guard on the fake started peeling off almost right away, the handle felt cheap and hollow, and the grit you need for spin, totally gone. This wasn't just a bad paddle, it was basically unusable. Okay, so we've established that these fakes can mess with your game and your wallet, but the story doesn't end there. This whole black market thing, it has a much bigger impact. It actually hurts the entire sport of pickleball. So what you're looking at here is an official testing machine. See, legit companies have to send their paddles to get tested by organizations like USA Pickleball. They check everything, surface grit, how much the ball pops off it, all to make sure the game is fair and that no one has some illegal advantage. And the fake paddles? They skip all of this. They completely bypass the rules designed to protect the integrity of the game. And then there's this. This quote from the co-founder of CRBN really hits home. He says they pour tons of money and time into research and development to make paddles better. And what do the counterfeiters do? They just wait for all that hard work to be done, steal the design, and make a cheap copy. They're basically riding the coattails of real innovators who are trying to push the sport forward. And fighting this isn't cheap. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars that brands are spending on lawyers just to chase these guys down. Now just think about that for a second. That's money that could be going into creating the next amazing paddle technology for all of us. But instead, it's just getting burned on legal fees. Okay, so after all that, what do? How do you actually go out and buy a paddle without getting ripped off? Let's talk strategy. It really comes down to 3 simple rules. Rule number 1, buy from authorized dealers. That means going straight to the brand's own website or a retailer you absolutely know and trust. Rule 2, you know this one, if a deal looks way too good to be true, it is. Nobody's selling a brand new flagship paddle for 90% off. It just doesn't happen. And rule 3, this one's for the serious players. If you plan on playing in tournaments, always double check that your paddle is on the official USA Pickleball approved list. Simple as that. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? As pickleball just keeps exploding, it gets harder and harder to tell the difference between a real discount and a total fake. The temptation to save a couple $100 is huge, I get it. But as we've seen, the true cost of that so-called deal might be far higher than you think.